And thanks for staying with us on the Joy News channel. This afternoon, Cecilia Dapaah, who resigned from a position over the weekend as Minister for Water Resources and Sanitation, is under investigation by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And we've got that breaking story coming through for you. We're live at the headquarters of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, where we understand that she will be facing, of course, some assigned officials from that very office. This is our special coverage dovetailing into the polls for you here on the Joy News channel. So you want to stay with us as we journey with you throughout the process that is about to begin. But we can't confirm that the former Minister for Water Resources and Sanitation, Cecilia Dapaah, is now at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, possibly facing some questions from assigned officers. We'll bring you a statement shortly by the Office of the Special Prosecutor indicating the time at which Cecilia Dapaah was picked up after, of course, attempts were made to reach out to her. We're not too clear with attempts under which she was arrested, but all we know now is that the former Minister of State is at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Let's bring you some live pictures now as you see them on your screens, indicating what the situation is at the Office of the Special Prosecutor's headquarters. As you see in your shot there, we'll be getting some reports shortly from our colleagues on the ground, because we're doing a 360 coverage for you here on the Joy News channel, bringing you, first of all of the action that's happening at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and then next we'll take you to Parliament, because her ministry has also been taking their turn at the Public Accounts Committee seating, which is underway in the House as well. We'll get Kwekwa Santi for a live discussion on that. Later on as well, we'll bring you the reactions from where used to be the office of Cecilia Dapaah, but that will no longer be the case. But we'll check out what's been happening at the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation ever since the embattled politician of course, has been indicted, and subsequently we know that she will no longer be serving in her capacity as Minister of State. But a lot unfolding just hours to the budget presentation as well, with lots of questions emerging even over her ministry and what she superintended over. We know that there were some indictments in the Auditor General's report, which the minority may be raising questions on in the coming days. All that and more, and the discussions will be coming to you shortly. But let's cross over and connect with my colleague, presidential correspondent Elton Brobe, who's there at the Office of the Special Prosecutor for us. And Elton, the image we see now is the headquarters, I believe, of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. But just give us a sense of what may be transpiring now as we speak, knowing and having confirmed that Cecilia Dapaah is at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Elton, I believe you can hear me. Elton, I believe you can hear me now. We'll definitely get my colleague and our presidential correspondent Elton Brobe for you, but you see the live pictures here, and if you're watching us on the Joy News channel, what you see now is the live pictures as we're bringing it to you from the Office of the Special Prosecutor. We can now confirm to you that the OSP, or the Office of the Special Prosecutor, is taking up this matter seriously, where the former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources is alleged to have stashed some amounts of money in her private residence, which was stolen, a situation which is bringing us to where we are today, having received that official documentation from the President accepting her resignation as Minister of State. But the story is not over, because Cecilia Dapaah's woes are just beginning. She is just about to face some some grilling going on there at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. But you just saw some pictures of my colleague and presidential correspondent Elton Brobe, who's been monitoring events there for us. We're also giving you some other reactions that are coming through, because even at the ministry where she's left post, just some 24 or 48 hours after leaving office, we've been getting some reactions from persons who work closely around that ministry. And also today, the coalition of NGOs working in water, sanitation, and Hygiene also confirming to us that they have a complete report out there, which will be released in the coming days, on the tenure of Cecilia Dapaah. Quite a coincidence for her, but it's been a very long day, knowing that the former Minister of State was initially scheduled to have served on the committee for the governing NPP's nomination process, and subsequently the election committee for its internal race is also going to suffer some setbacks. So a lot happening to this one individual that we are talking about. But what do we need to know about her arrest? Let's get more from Elton Brobia, our presidential correspondent. And Elton, I can see that you're ready now. Okay, so let's get to it. We confirmed that indeed her arrest happened at 11:55 a.m. What else are we learning now?
So, Blessed, we are currently stationed just some few meters away from the offices of the special prosecutor. My camera guy can zoom in to the frontage of the office. This is as far as we can stand and bring you what is happening here, because it's a security zone, and for that reason access is quite restricted. But we are just some maximum 50 meters away from the main entrance of the office that will lead you into the special prosecutor's offices. Now, what I can report and what I can indeed tell you is that Madam Cecilia Dapaah is currently still assisting investigators working with the special prosecutor to unravel the issues why she's being hauled before it. My information is that the interrogation started at exactly 11:30. And it's almost 3 p.m. So in the last almost 4 hours, Madam Cecilia Dapaah has been providing information regarding the circumstances surrounding her arrest by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. But you all do know that last week Friday, the Ghanaian Chronicle, broke this story about alleged stealing of some monies. The paper mentioned $1 million, 300,000 euros, millions of Ghana cedis, jewelries, and other household items that were taken from the Abelempe home of the former Minister for Works and Housing. Now, in the weekend that just ended, the minister issued first a statement acknowledging that something indeed had taken place, but said that the amount being quoted by the media is not what she and her husband reported to the police. Now, she will later, bring forth another statement, but refused to mention the exact amount in question. And then later, resigned her role as the Minister for Water and Sanitation. And then later we got a statement from the Director of Communication at the Presidency affirming that President Akufo-Addo had indeed received the letter of resignation from the former Works and Housing Minister, and that the President had accepted the resignation. And then later we got a formal communication from President Akufo-Addo to Madam Cecilia Dapaah, acknowledging her role in the government and affirming that at the right time her integrity would be established. So that has been the sequence of events from Friday up until now. Now, around midday, around 12:15 this afternoon, the Office of the Special Prosecutor released a statement. Let me go over portions of the statement. And this was the time, pointed on the statement. It's 11:55, 24th of July, 2023. Cecilia Dapaah, that's the headline to the statement. And it says that Cecilia Dapaah, who resigned from the position of Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources on 22nd July, 2023, was placed under arrest by the Office of the Special Prosecutor in respect of suspected corruption and corruption-related offences regarding large amount of money and other valuable items reportedly stolen from her residence. Ms. Dapaah is being questioned by authorized officers of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and this is signed by Kisia Jabin, the Special Prosecutor. Now, this is what we know so far. So the interrogation, according to my sources at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, is still ongoing. And if you check the time now, it's just 5 minutes to 3 p.m. That means that they've been interrogating her for almost 4 hours now, and it's still ongoing. Now, what I'm picking is that remember that this weekend the MCE for West made a point that the money could be donation from a funeral that had taken place some time back. Now, information I'm picking is that came up during the initial, responses that Mrs. Dapaah gave the officers interrogating her at the office of the special prosecutor. But the interrogation is still ongoing. The interrogation went into a family. What I'm picking is that the special prosecutor may expand investigation into this matter to include close associates or family members of the former Minister for Water Resources and Sanitation. Now, in the next few minutes, as we have been told, we are likely to witness vehicles that will come out of the office of the special prosecutor, and they will be heading to two directions. One to the cantonment official residence of the former minister, and then also to the Abelempe home of the former minister, which for now is being classified as a crime scene. And what I'm picking is that this entourage, their main job is to go out there and inspect the house, search the house, and then after we inform the office of the special prosecutor. So the first team will go to the cantonment official home of Madam Cecilia Dapaah, and another team will head to the Abelempe home, which is now a crime scene of the former minister, Madam Cecilia Dapaah. She came in the company of the husband, but I'm told that for now, the special prosecutor is very much interested in the former minister, Cecilia Dapaah. Later on, they may probe into the affairs of the husband. For now, the person responding to their questions is the former minister, Cecilia Dapaah. And then when they are done with the interrogation, they will head to the Abelempe home and, of course, to the cantonment home to search the property.
Elton, I hope you can hear me now.
Also in there with her lawyers.
And Elton, I hope you can hear me now. The point about the circumstances leading to her arrest is very much of importance to many of us sitting down and just watching the statement come through from the office of the special prosecutor. The question about how she was arrested, do we know?
It is very unclear for now. I mean, what is clear is that the special prosecutor over the weekend started processes to get into this particular matter. And we also do know that even before Monday official work will start, the email account of the special prosecutor have been inundated with calls from a section of the public demanding that the office probe into this, allegation of stolen money from the home of the former Minister for Works and for Water and Sanitation. And then when they got to the office this morning, some people have actually brought in petition requesting that there should be a formal probe into this matter. So even before they will start work into this matter today, they had over 200 petitions to deal with. So, but the law establishing it allows the office to go into matters of this nature without formally being notified by anybody. They have the right to do so, and that's exactly what they have been doing. So they made a call to the former minister. It's unclear whether she came on her own volition or she was picked up. But whatever it is, she was arrested and currently under arrest.
Okay, and let's talk about some of the chilling accounts that may have been coming up after this prolonged hours of questioning and probe by assigned officers, as we were being told by the statement from the office of the special prosecutor. The question about how the money got into that private residence as we know it, allegedly, which is now being stolen, as the reports are indicating. You are now pointing to, the account that it may have been a funeral donation. So let's go back to the accounts of those who share that with us. The fact that, well, it's not money that personally belongs to the minister. What do we know about the media reports, first of all, surrounding that? And how is that being corroborated by Cecilia Dapaah at the Office of the Special Prosecutor? What are your sources telling you?
For now, Blessed, what we can say is that this is clearly a lifestyle audit. Now, the Special Prosecutor, in the press statement that came out announcing the arrest of the former minister, indicated that the office was looking into corruption and corruption-related issues. But what I've just picked from my sources within the premises of the special prosecutor is that the issue of funeral donation came up. and I don't know under what circumstances this was explained, but I'm told that the issue of funeral donation came up. The issue of some family members' money also came up. And that is the reason why I'm told that this investigation may be expanded to include some close family members of the former minister because of the answers that may have been provided by Madam Cecilia Dapaah, because we are told of she may have mentioned donations. She also mentioned the fact that the money may belong to some family members of hers. So these are matters that I'm told that they will be looking into in the coming days as they formally open investigation into this matter. But for now, she's still in the process of writing a statement and responding to initial questions from interrogators of the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
How I wish that we could at least get a sneak peek of what's happening in there, but there's no way we can have access for now. We're awaiting that official moment where making her way out of the premises of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. But this is the Joy News channel, and we're breaking that to you that the embattled and now former Minister for Water Resources and Sanitation, Cecilia Dapaah, has been picked up by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, undergoing a raft of questionings there by assigned officers, as we're being told by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. We'll take you shortly to where used to be the office of this very minister that we're talking about, the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. There you see live pictures from that ministry. But Elton, I just want to conclude one matter with you very briefly before we go there. The statement coming through from the president, a lot of questions have come up, but the president says he believes the integrity of Cecilia Dapaah will be established. Are we beginning to get any explanation to that portion of the statement from the presidency? Hello, Elton. Okay, and we'll get back to Elton Brobe shortly. You see the pictures there from the Office of the Special Prosecutor. But let's take you now to the Water Resources and Sanitation Ministry, where Cecilia Dapaah used to work. Just 48 hours after leaving office. What's the mood there, and what can we report? Carlos Caloni, our colleague here at Joy News, has been monitoring events for us, and as we bring you the live pictures now from the ministry, Carlos, it's a good time to be asking you what you can tell us, because while this embattled former Minister of State is at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, there's quite a lot also happening at the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, as we see live in our pictures there. So just bring us up to speed with what you can report.
As I said, I can tell you that the mood here is a mixed one. While many of the staff don't want to speak to us, many of them are also stuck in their offices. Earlier on when we came, we saw a number of people gathered in groups actually discussing this issue. And some who have been speaking to us off camera have been telling us, some say they are happy this has come up, others are just not happy that the minister had to resign. They are of the opinion that the minister should have been given the opportunity to explain herself and given a fair hearing, but they feel that the pressure from the public and the media actually pushed the minister to resign. And also we noticed some few people walked in here to conduct business, and our sources within the ministry have been telling us that on a normal day you see a lot of people coming rather than what we are actually witnessing today. So probably it's due to the resignation of the minister. So the mood here is a mixed one. Some are happy that the minister is actually out, and they describe this as a fight for corruption. And so once you've been cited in some alleged corruption-related issue, then the law should take its course. So many people here at the ministry have actually gathered in groups, and as you can see in your shots there, discussions going on, and they are actually discussing this issue.
And obviously, the place that we have the various allocation for the parking lots, we see that the deputy ministerial vehicle is there, but no clear sign if the ministerial vehicle is there. It's something that we've not seen yet, and we'll be getting back to shortly. But you can clearly see that it's obvious that there's something really happening at the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation. What about the mood at the place? You've been interacting with some bystanders, people who also do business at this ministry, and very often have the chance of meeting the minister at some point. What accounts are they sharing with you?
If I get you well, many of the guys we've met here at the ministry are actually in groups and discussing the issue. And since we came here in the morning, we've not seen the minister. Like you rightly said, where she usually parks a vehicle is bare. There's no vehicle there. We try to find out whether she actually came here earlier to at least pick some of her personal belongings from the office, but we've been told nothing of that sort has happened. Now, reacting to the news of her arrest earlier today, one of the staff who wants to remain anonymous actually told us that she felt like the pressure is just too much at this time. She should be given the opportunity to explain herself regarding this matter, and I'll try to find out from them whether this actually is going to affect business at the ministry. And the response was that definitely, because even today some people came in to meet the minister and to be told that she is no more the minister. So for now, even at the ministry itself, staff themselves are not sure of the way forward, but we are picking up that very soon the ministry is going to meet with the chief director to deliberate on the way forward in the interim to see how the ministry will be run. But around the ministry here, you'll find a lot of people discussing this matter in groups and unofficially. I mean, they don't want to talk to us on record. Like I said earlier, most of them are happy that the minister is going. They see this as a clear sign of the country or the institution fighting corruption. Others also believe that she should have been given much more time to explain herself and for her not to resign. Blessed.
Thank you. My colleague Carlos Caloni there, stationed at the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, and live pictures we have there at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Any moment from now, the former minister, who's now resigned, Cecilia Dapaah, may be leaving right through the gates, the very red ones you see on your screens up there right now. We also have our eyes at the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, keeping a close watch on all of the action happening. Also in Parliament, her ministry has been subject to, some scrutiny at the Public Accounts Committee. We'll be getting to that shortly. But I also need to tell you that we have some experts, civil society also joining us to share their thoughts on this developing matter. Not a story we've seen in recent time, but some will tell you that it's a common phenomenon with the political class. So how do we address that and how do we solve the problem? We'll get to that shortly by speaking to the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. But first, let me get to my colleague, Kweku Asante, who's joining us now from Parliament, where, of course, Kweku, a lot more happening in the water resources sector, where Cecilia Dapaah used to be minister. What more do you have for us?
Yeah, definitely. We had two institutions under her watch. Normally, she would have accompanied these ministries and these agencies under her ministry to Parliament to respond to questions, but she was not here today. The Ghana Water Company Limited was here to discuss matters of water in Galamsey and the infractions in the Auditor General's report, as well as the Water Resources Commission in some of the regions. They were here to answer questions from the Public Accounts Committee. But just as the information came in that the Special Prosecutor had put Madam Cecilia Dapaah under arrest, we tried to caught up with some members of Parliament to get some reaction on this important and vexed matter that has just come up. Some of these MPs believe that, and especially Blessed, you would know by now, that majority MPs are shying off this topic. Whenever you approach them to speak to this matter, they completely brush it off aside. They'll talk to you off the record, but they will never get on the record because of how sensitive and how political this matter is becoming. To this matter, we've spoken to a number of MPs. In the morning, when I go to the Public Accounts Committee, I spoke to Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed. He's the MP for Tamale Central. He was of the clear opinion that the Special Prosecutor must put Cecilia Dapaah under arrest. 2 hours after speaking with Murtala Mohammed, the former minister was put under arrest. I've now spoken with Dr. Clementa Park and the Bolibam Boy MP Sif Sulemana, who are all of the opinion that this arrest must not end there. They expect some key actions.
Okay.
They want the OSP to get to the bottom of this matter, and then, in fact, there are those who are suggesting that her bank accounts must be frozen, her house must be ransacked to get to see if there can be more evidence that we can get. If you have that instead, you can listen to those two MPs making their views clear on what should happen in terms of this arrest.
Given the circumstances, which of course has agitated the minds of Ghanaians, to discover this quantum of money stolen by house helps in the house of a public servant raises a lot of questions. And so Ghanaians are eager to find out, one, the source of the money, and whether legitimate or not. And secondly, how such big amounts of money could be doing in somebody's residence when we have banks. And as you know, we have rules in this country. I don't know any bank that would allow for anyone to withdraw $10,000 without an alarm being triggered. So to find out that over $1 million had been stolen, over 300,000 euros and several millions of Ghana cedis raises a lot of questions. So it's not just about arresting her, but Ghanaians expect agility from the special prosecutor to get to the bottom of these issues so that we know the source of the money. Because we are in need. The country is broke. We cannot pay capitation grants. Special needs schools have not received feeding grants since January. And so, yes, we want to know the source of the money. Everything is our money. It should be made available to us, retrieved with interest.
What we want to see is a very serious investigation. And not just that, we also expect the president to, as it were, take this matter seriously. If you look at the kind of love letters that, the two of them exchange, for me, is worrisome. We were expecting the president to fire the woman. He failed in doing that. The woman resigned. And in her resignation letter, you could see the jovial nature of the content of the letter. This is an official letter, but you see her addressing the president, my dear, and all of that. One would have thought that the president who put seriousness to the whole scandal, and his letter is more scandalous than even the scandal that we're talking about. The special prosecutor, first and foremost, should not be influenced by what the president is doing. And then again, he should act swiftly by ensuring that the accounts of the woman is frozen and that her house is also ransacked so that we know exactly what is going on.
Okay, so the contender coming through from Parliament, and what a way, of course, we have that MP describing that as a love letter between the President and the embattled minister. Well, it's a good time to bring in the Executive Secretary for the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, Beauty Nate. It's not an issue that we should be laughing about, but Beauty, certainly when you have, of course, such comments being made by politicians, it brings up, again, the conversation about why we should be serious about fighting corruption. Also joining us is Professor, one of the professors at Cambridge University in the United Kingdom, Professor Justice Tankebe, who's a criminologist, joining us. Hello, sir. Thank you for spending some time with us. So, Beauty and Prof, thank you for spending some time with us. Beauty, I'll come to you shortly, but let's get to it. Why not? Ladies first. So let's get to it. First of all, the position of the anti-corruption CSOs on what we're witnessing now. The president, first of all, saying that he believes that the integrity of the minister will be established. And then we have the Office of the Special Prosecutor picking her up. Any connections to what's happening? And what's your position, by the way?
Very much. So as the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, we are happy with her resignation, which was a very important step that has to be taken to make way for investigation. We are also happy with the arrest by the special prosecutor, and also the fact that it was made public and for citizens to be updated on the process of the investigation. That is what we are expecting. Overall, this is an issue that I'm happy at how Ghanaians have expressed interest in this issue and also aligns to all the issues that we have raised concern about in terms of fighting corruption. We have made the point again and again that we cannot fight corruption with lip service. We need to put in robust system to assure the fight against corruption. For instance, we have talked about issue of asset declaration. And Blessing, you will be surprised to learn that when it's about the declaration of assets, what we have now does not qualify as a robust anti-corruption tool. And there are avenues for amending. As I speak right now, the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, which is supposed to amend the current asset legal framework, is still sitting in cabinet for over a year now, and it has not moved from cabinet to parliament, let alone have citizens' input and also even have the sense that it will be passed. So if we are not putting this legal framework in place and we continue to talk about fight against corruption, it begs the question if we really are serious about the fight against corruption in Ghana. Corruption appears to be normalized in this country. And you can see for yourself, if a minister can keep this amount of money at home, even looking at our anti-money laundering law, clearly it shows that the minister does not even have confidence in the financial system. So she's not able to keep this money in the banks and is keeping it at home. So if this happens, what are we communicating to the ordinary Ghanaian?
The regime. And Prof, just hold on with us because I'll come to what's happening at the Office of the Special Prosecutor shortly. But Beauty, the point about reforming the laws that we have, because I recall the former, attorney, no, that should be the Auditor General, Yaldam Level, talk about the fact that even the declaration regime is so opaque that you find some of the officers or, persons who are supposed to declare their assets sealing a piece of paper with absolutely nothing contained in that document. But you can't open it up because of the laws that we have.
I must say that the Auditor General now opens up the sealed envelope and they're able to check at least. But beyond that, we are not able to verify. And verification means that when somebody declares their assets, you need to verify the content. You need to know that what they stated or listed as their properties, do they really own it, or are they listing it in anticipation of using the public office to amass wealth? That we have not been able to do. In addition to that, we also have another aspect where you need to monitor and then publish the verification. Recently, not too long ago, if you recall, the Fourth Estate was able to put in place a number of ministers who failed to declare their assets. And it's worrying because most of them were still in government. Some of them were no more in government, but they failed to comply with the law. And unfortunately, the sanctions are not biting enough for people who even do not comply with the law. So that is why we had proposed that the Conduct of Public Officers Bill should have sanctions for non-compliance, and those sanctions should be biting enough. If you don't do that, you're only encouraging people to dance around the legal framework and pretend that they are filing their assets when in actual fact they are not doing that.
To just stay with us, there's a lot more happening to Cecilia Dapaah because we understand her name has been expunged from the records of the New Patriotic Party's committee supervising the internal elections. We'll get to that shortly. But let me hear from you briefly before we go there, Professor Tankebe. The point about even being fair to the embattled former Minister of State as we speak. It's not as though we're just concluding that she's made undue wealth, is it? Right?
Thank you for having me. I think the question of whether she's made any undue wealth is what the Office of Special Prosecutor will seek to establish. But it seems to me that there are two issues that we need to consider, especially as we think about anti-corruption and so forth. The first is, of course, this response by the Office of Special Prosecutor to this specific case is important. But I think that has tended to be our approach, rather episodic. Something happens, we react, we conclude it, and then that's it. So here, what are the possible outcomes? Nothing to see here, all legitimate, okay, full stop. Or there are questions to be answered, she's prosecuted, and so forth. And I think what we need to do, in my mind, that anti-corruption has to be seen as something that is opportunistic. So when something happens like this, we take advantage of that to look at the whole class of cases. So here, of course, the Office of Special Prosecutor cannot audit the lifestyle of every government appointee at the moment. It's quite under-resourced and so forth. But at least people who are in similar positions to this minister need to be audited. And I mean ministers, deputy ministers, that could be a starting point. That their lifestyle, because the case here is that here you have somebody and the suspicion is that her legitimate income should not allow her to have this. Okay, is she the only person? Possibly not. The special prosecutor has got a power, or she's got the powers to be able to audit the lifestyles of people in similar positions as this minister. And I think doing that is important. First of all, it injects an element of fairness into anti-corruption responses. Second, I think it's a more potent deterrence approach, so that if I have done something similar to what the minister has done, simply because I did not report to the authorities that my money is missing, or I managed to stay clever, I get away with it. I think there needs to be that, if you like, attempt to move beyond specific cases to try to look at a whole class of cases. The second point to make, I think, is that what we are told here is that such a case happened over a year ago, and the Office of Special Prosecutor didn't know about it. The presidency didn't know about it. Economic and Organized Crime Office didn't know about it. National Security didn't know about it. That seems to me quite scandalous, because we cannot have an anti-corruption regime that something like that will happen and no one was asking questions. The police were not passing on this information. They didn't see any suspicion in this to say, okay, let's just pass it on to the YOCO to see whether there's something to see. Or let's pass it on to the Office of Special Prosecutor to see whether there's something. So there needs to be another layer of investigation which asks very simple questions. Who knew what, when, and what did they do about it?
Okay.
And why? What did they approach it the way that they did? I think those are really important questions to try
Prof,
to
I must point out that you're leaving out the Financial Intelligence Commission, FIC. I hope I'm getting the full name right. But they also come into the picture, because at least they should have learnt about this case by now. But thanks to the media, this is all out. I just want to also point out that we're still keeping our eyes right now at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. We see quite a lot of activities going on there, and then also at the ministry and the NPP's headquarters, where her name has been espoused. We'll get details for you shortly. But Prof, one more aspect I want to get from you before we come to beauty. The point about what may be going into the framing of the minds of persons who are being accused of crimes such as this, right? What kind of excuses can they come up with in a very swift or cunning manner to avert? And by this, I'm not saying that the minister has indeed committed any crime. But what kind of, smart ways can accused persons come up with in a bid to avert being prosecuted then?
I really couldn't possibly tell. I think it's very hard to get into that domain. What we know for a fact is that she is just a suspect. She is guilty. Sorry, she's innocent until proven guilty. She's innocent until proven guilty, and I think we need to provide her, we need to give her that, I think, benefit of the doubt. But of course, I think the other issues to mention is that, look, fighting corruption is not just a legalistic thing. It's also an ethical issue, okay? The point has been made time and time again that corruption is an ethical issue before it becomes a legal concern. And that's the bit we need to really invest in. How can we ensure ethicality in public office? And I think we have some indications of how we might do that, but unfortunately, we're not paying attention to those aspects. We're hiding behind the law all the time, and it's very easy to craft a law that makes it impossible for or the Attorney General or Office of Special Prosecutor or whatever to operate. We have a legal system that is very difficult to navigate. And if you have such an environment,
right,
your best hope especially is to invest more on the side of ethics, because it's the best hope I think we have. Of course, not discounting the law. But I will say again, if we really want to be serious about deterrence, because what we are doing now, our hope is that somehow, if unfortunately for her, she were to be prosecuted and so forth, that somehow will serve as a deterrence to others. But I think that's a misplaced hope. If you're looking at such episodic approach to anti-corruption, that's a misplaced hope. We need, the office is also tasked with prevention. And prevention seems to me, the way to ensure prevention is to be more proactive. And in this case, as I said earlier, looking at having a problem-solving approach to the issue. Who are the other people in similar positions? We know that the Office of Special Prosecutor, even a mere suspicion is enough for it to go and investigate these cases. And we need to encourage the office, we need to resource it to be able to move beyond specific cases, to look at a pattern, as it were, to try to identify a pattern. Because that's the only way it can start to disrupt corrupt arrangements, right? If it knows how are these arrangements made, who are the actors, how do they seek to mask their activities, and so forth. You can't identify that by just focusing on a specific case in here.
Okay, lots of activities happening at the NPP headquarters, but if you're watching us on the Joy News channel, this is the latest that we have for you. That the images that you see up there seems quite quiet, I should say, at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. All is not quiet within, because Cecilia Dapaah is right within the precincts, at least now, of the Office of the Special Prosecutor being investigated as we speak. We are not too sure of when she may come out. 3 hours of straight questioning by, as we're being told by that statement from the Office of the Special Prosecutor, by assigned officers. The names are not being disclosed as to whether or not the Special Prosecutor himself is getting involved in this matter. We'll get you some updates shortly with presidential correspondent Elton Robbie watching the activities live for us. Samuel Mbura is at the NPP headquarters, and I'll come to you shortly, Beauty, on the way forward and what you're recommending as anti-corruption CSOs. But Sami, if you can hear me, I can see that you're readying yourself for quite a number of activities happening at the NPP headquarters, not just about the presidential primaries, which is coming up strongly, but you are also picking up some details about how, surprisingly, we can't find the name of Cecilia Dapaah on the committee which was supposed to supervise that internal exercise for the party. What's happening?
Blessed, as you indicated, it's actually there for Cecilia Dapaah. She was among those that were appointed by the National Council of the NPP after the meeting last week. There were 10 of them, but in the turn of events today, with the latest release that the party issued, signed by the General Secretary, Justin Frimpong Kodia, her name is not part. So we have 9 members constituting the elections committee of the NPP ahead of the Superdelegates Congress and the main elections in November. So that's a development to it. I tried engaging the General Secretary, Justin Frimpong Kodia, earlier as to why that is the latest development. But he told me that we should go by the statement that they have issued, and she is not part of the elections committee. But in the earlier address he made after the National Council meeting last week, she was among the 10 of them, and the committee is chaired by Professor Mike Aaron Okwe. So as we speak now, Madam Cecilia Dapaah, with the latest release from the party amidst the controversies of the stolen money from her residence, her name is not part of it. No reason has been assigned for the removal of her name from the list as we speak now.
And from the statement we're receiving from the Office of the Special Prosecutor, it appears that Cecilia Dapaah was picked up close just 5 minutes to midday. Do we know if she appeared at the headquarters of the party just about starting her activities before that call came through, or perhaps she was picked up?
No, she never turned up at the party office here for the meeting. At the time I was reporting for midday, I was told she didn't come, and then the General Secretary also confirmed it. So perhaps arrest wasn't done here, perhaps a residence or elsewhere.
Okay, Samuel Mbura, my colleague there at the NPP headquarters, where we're also confirming that the party is no longer going with its original plan to maintain Cecilia Dapaah on the list of the elections committee for the party. The party is, of course, lacing its boots for the internal contest for selecting, first of all, at a special delegates congress, a number of 5 out of the 10 contesting the presidential elections. Samuel Mbura will be back to you shortly. But Beauty, let me bring you back the conversation going forward in the reforms or what you would recommend to government. First of all, what does this paint in terms of the image about the president's commitment, the government's commitment entirely towards the fight against corruption? And we'll get back to you, Beauty, shortly. I understand there's some happenings there at the headquarters of the NPP. So let's get that really quickly. I see Alexander Penyumakin, the Deputy Majority Leader, in our shots there. He may be making a few comments after that statement. We'll then come back to you shortly, Beauty.
We are going to have engagement with the aspirants on Wednesday and follow it up with other matters in accordance with the guidelines for the elections. We've had a fruitful engagement today, and I'm sure we'll follow it up on Wednesday. Thank you very much.
A petition from some of the aspirants. What were their grievances about?
No petition was submitted. We've not received any petition. That is news to me.
All right. So the former Sanitation Minister was part of the list after the National Council, those who will supersede these elections.
Who
but
supersede what?
Those who will look into or supervise these elections, the upcoming Super Delegates Congress and the main elections.
Please excuse
but
me.
The latest report.
Excuse me.
Why? We know why.
You have a list of the party has given you a list, isn't it? Yeah. So what is your problem again?
What has happened? Because initially her name was part.
The party, was there an official statement from the party? Was there an official statement from the party? I'm asking you. You said
it was an announcement at the National Council's meeting.
Do you have an official statement from the party to that effect?
It was an official communication from the General Secretary.
Do you have it? Do you have it? The latest statement in time is what it is. Okay?
So go by the latest statement.
What else?
Just a quick one. We understand the protest. There was supposed to be a ballot.
No, I am telling you that we do not have any petition. We haven't received any petition. We've had an engagement with representatives of aspirants. By the grace of God, the engagement ended successfully and fruitfully. We are going to have a meeting on Wednesday.
To discuss the same issue.
We are going to have a meeting on Wednesday.
To discuss the same issue.
We are going to have a meeting on Wednesday.
To discuss what, if I may.
We are going to have a meeting on Wednesday. When we're done with the meeting, I will brief you. Thank you very much.
You are a member of the election committee. How is the election going so far?
So far, so good. This is a family affair. This is a family affair. Everything is going well. We are so far happy with processes, and the guidelines have been laid out. And it's not going to be the first time MPP is going to have an internal contest. Ours is to have a vibrant one, an engaging one, and to ensure that internal democracy is upheld. I mean, it's as simple as that.
So the General Secretary mentioned about a register that could be ready for these aspirants. You're a member of this committee. Is the register ready to be given to them, or you're still working on it?
I will brief you as and when a matter become ripe. The General Secretary has spoken broadly. My duty as the spokesperson.
So you see live pictures there from the NPP's headquarters. Alexander Venyumarkin, Deputy Majority Leader, briefing the media on a wide range of issues, including Cecilia Dapaah's name, who's now been expunged. He's trying to defend that. But certainly, it's, of course, a statement that was made by the General Secretary earlier. Now, with the latest statement coming through, her name appears to be missing. We'll get to our experts who are helping us to do the discussion right now. But before we get to Beauty and Professor Tankobe, I just want to hear from Elton Brobe once more, who's at the office of the Special Prosecutor. Elton, what's the latest?
Well, nothing much has changed. We're still getting ready to wait for them to come. So what we are picking is that very soon they will be leaving the premises of the Special Prosecutor. So, and then they will be taking her and the husband to their home at Abelempe. The office wants to search the place. And then also we are told that her official residence at Cantonment here in Accra, where they also undertake similar search. So, Blessed, we're just in waiting, and my information is that very soon they will be exiting the office of the Special Prosecutor for that to start. Again, let us go through the issues that are before the office of the Special Prosecutor. And what we've been told is that Madam Cecilia Dapaah was brought in to assist in ongoing investigation regarding some stolen money from her residence. We are told about 1 million Ghana cedis, 300,000 euros, millions of Ghana cedis, and some other personal effects that were stolen by some house helps at his Abelempe home. The matter was reported to the police. The case is now before a court of competent jurisdiction. The Special Prosecutor, with a mandate to investigate corruption and corruption-related matters, reacted to this matter, reached out to the former minister this morning, and then brought her in. And between 11 and as of now, as we speak, the interrogation is still ongoing. We are told a few matters have come up. One of them includes the fact that the money may have been a funeral donation. The money may belong to some family members. And for that reason, what we are picking is that the investigation may be expanded to include some family members of the former minister. That is the information we've picked. It's been almost 4 hours of intense interrogation. She's here with her husband and lawyers, but we are told that the investigation is currently focused on her, and then later, if so minded, the office will look into the role of her husband as well. Now, this is a classic case of the accused person now becoming the accused. Somebody who reported the matter to the police is now an accused person because of the interest taken by the office of the Special Prosecutor. So we're still waiting here. We are just stationed just outside, some 50 meters away from the office of the Special Prosecutor, whilst we wait for the former minister to be brought out and then taken to a residence at Cantonment and Abelempe for some search to be done on those premises. And then we'll know. But one key matter that has also come up from my sources within the interrogation is the role the police may have played in all of this. And the information we are picking is that some persons who were connected with this case initially, we are told that the initial report was done somewhere in August of 2022, but the theft took place between July and August of 2022. The police officers who were initially involved, the Special Prosecutor may open investigation into their conduct as well. So, according to what I'm hearing, this is going to be a very broad investigation that will bring in so many people connected to this matter. But for the start, as part of their rules of engagement, they want to now search the premises of the former minister, first at Abelempe and then also to the Cantonment residence. And this will be done by officers of the Special Prosecutor.
It's quite surprising that that's all the statement is telling us, that it's just assigned, quote, assigned officers from the Office of the Special Prosecutor. No indication or whatsoever as to whether or not the man himself is involved. Do we know if the Special Prosecutor, and by this I'm referring to Kisi Ejabing, being an integral part of the investigations taking place now?
We are not privy to what really is going on inside the room. What we do know is that per the press statement that came from the office, it indicated that officers under the authority of the special prosecutors are the ones who are undertaking the interrogation. Remember that they have investigators, even though Parliament gave them the right to employ over 200 people. From what we've been told, they have not more than 10 investigators handling the various corruption cases that are before them. So there may be, challenge in terms of human resource as it relates to investigators. What is happening is that the investigators are the ones who are taking charge, and they are doing this as well.
Okay. Elton Brobe, presidential correspondent at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, also monitoring what's happening. You see the live pictures also from the Ministry of Sanitation, Water Resources, where Cecilia Dapaah used to work as minister in charge of that sector. It's just about 15 minutes from the official closing hours. I would see if some of the workers at the ministry there will begin to file out. We don't know who may be a possible replacement. We're still awaiting a statement from the presidency on the way forward and the future of that ministry. But Beauty, you've been watching all of this play out. The defense coming through from the deputy majority leader. He would speak very little about some of the reforms that needs to take place in Parliament. But let's get to it. What more are we to expect from you as CSOs in terms of sending a signal, first of all, to government on their entire fight against corruption? First of all, what's your impression about this, given this latest incident?
Thank you very much. I think that it presents a good opportunity for government to invest a lot in preventive measures. We have always indicated that when it comes to corruption, when acts are already committed, it becomes comes at a cost to the nation. But when you put in preventive measures, what you're doing is that you prevent even the act from occurring. And that is why we have always encouraged the need to put in measures that help to prevent these acts from occurring. For instance, in this particular case, before I even go to what I was saying, I wanted to encourage the need to immediately protect the two house helps. Even though they were accused per the court case, they are now the prime witness in this situation.
Hello there, Beauty. Are you still with us? And Beauty, you're just making the point about the need. Okay, I believe we're just losing you intermittently. Beauty Nate, can you hear me once more? Beauty, if you can hear me, we lost you briefly. If you could just take that point for us again. And Beauty Nate is the Executive Secretary for the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. Beauty, can you hear me one more time? Okay, and Prof, you are still also with us. Any moment from now, we know that the Office of the Special Prosecutor will be moving, assigned officers, as we're being told, as the statement is indicating, will be moving together with Cecilia Dapaah. We understand she's in the company of her husband. What's the essence of searching her house anyway? This is someone who's reporting that her cash is missing. Why go in search of more money in the house when she's complaining about cash which is missing? Okay, so just and apologies, Prof. We seem to see some movement right now. We're not able to confirm. Okay, but it does suggest something. Elton Brobe, if you're with us, what's happening? We just saw some movement taking place now. Elton, what can you report?
What is happening is that we have the official vehicles coming out of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. It's unclear whether this vehicle is carrying the former Minister for Water and Sanitation, but what we do know is that officers will be escorting her to her residence at Agbelempe, and of course, so those are the vehicles you are seeing right now. These are the vehicles that are going to inspect the premises of the former minister at her home at Agbelempe and of course Cantonment. And this is part of their investigation to really establish what is happening. So black vehicles, occupants are security agencies and some officers of the OSP. My information is that also in the vehicle are the former Minister for Sanitation, Cecilia Dapaah, and of course her husband and lawyers, as we have been told, and they are heading towards their home at Cantonment and of course Agbelempe, and this is part of their ongoing investigation to establish where the money may have come from, the stolen money, and then to also establish whether there is a case for her to answer. So the search will be conducted at the Agbelempe home and of course at Cantonment Blazer. So a while ago you saw the vehicles exit the office of the Special Prosecutor.
And so it's another breaking story within a breaking story, if we may put it as such. Thanks so much, Presidential Correspondent Elton Brobe, who may be following up to what we're just learning now, that the Minister for Water, Resources and Sanitation, former, is en route to her private residence together with the court-assigned officers from the Office of the Special Prosecutor who are joining her to search her home after that saga about the stash amounts of money in her residence. And Prof, you were watching all of this unfold. I was just asking that really funny question about why go in search of money in a house when she's the one complaining that someone has stolen her money, by the way.
Well, I suppose because what the Office of Special Prosecutor is looking at is not her victimization. He is investigating whether there has been a crime triggered by apparently having a stash of cash at home. So it does make sense that the investigators wish to go to the home to see whether, I don't know, there's more cash there and so forth. So that seems to be a reasonable step.
And if we indeed, and I'm talking about the assigned officers, establish that they find any more amount of money, how is that going to aid, for instance, the investigation that's taking place now?
Well, I suppose what the office is seeking to understand is how she made that money. And therefore, in that sense, every peso counts towards whatever case that Office of Special Prosecutor is seeking to make. But again, as we've both been, the points we've both been making, that it really will be a mistake in the larger scheme of things to be so focused on this particular case and not thinking about what broader issues emerge and what is it that we can do in terms of reforms, in terms of reinvigorating our anti-corruption efforts. To do so partly on the front of how we can improve deterrence, but also the key point that was made earlier, the issue about prevention and also looking at the ethical dimension to all this. I think those are all important measures if you want to prevent corruption.
Okay, and once more, let's just remind our viewers that this is a Joy News channel, and let's just bring you a sense of the amount of money and some of the items missing as Cecilia Dapaah's home that we're talking about here, for those of you who may not be too familiar with the cash involved. So here's the first tranche of $1 million US. That's quite a substantive amount of money. You also have another denomination, or if you may want to talk about it in terms of currency, we have another figure there, 300,000 euros, and we also have 350,000 Ghana cedis, right? Three different currencies involved there. 6 pieces of assorted kente as well, amounting to some 90,000 Ghana cedis. We know that there's also inclusive of this 6 sets of men's suit worth 3,000 US, assorted clothes 95,000 Ghana cedis, and there are some handbags also involved. very expensive ones, 35,000 US dollars for handbags and assorted perfumes. They must be really nice fragrances, 1,400 US dollars. And of course, we know that there's some precious metals of some 95,000 US dollars also involved in all of this. And looking at all of the kind of valuables that we're talking about here, Prof, you were just wondering if one person is able to keep all of this in their home. You are a criminologist. Security-wise, is that safe for an individual?
Well, I think as other security so-called experts have made a point, it's not certainly safe for you to do so. But there is also, of course, the question about the way that I think governments over the years have been encouraging all of us to use the banking system. But it's really very difficult to be discussing this without veering into a territory that I think we shouldn't be. Because the two issues here. One is, whichever way we answer that question would probably reflect what assumptions we are making about the case. On the one hand, if it's my money and I wish to keep it at home, then the sort of questions that arise will be different from if there's suspicion that this might be somehow money from illegitimate sources and so forth. And I think it's a really tricky area. We should allow the investigators to do their job. They will be able to answer all those questions for us. Once we know or it's been established legally as to where those monies came from, I think we can begin to enter that territory with a bit more ease than
of course.
at this.
Yeah, I see. And with you being the expert, we can only take that from you, Professor Justice Tankebe. Thank you for spending some time with us here on the polls, and also, of course, that special package that we're bringing for you with the breaking story that just moments ago we brought you those visuals of some 3 black vehicles. In fact, they may be 4 moving towards the private residence of the former Minister for Water Resources and Sanitation, Cecilia Dapaah. Some vehicles we see, obviously, that may contain the, quote, assigned officers from the Office of the Special Prosecutor taking the former Minister of State to her private residence for some search to take place after 3 hours of probing here. Beauty Night is with the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. Beauty, apologies we lost you briefly, but we can't confirm now, and just seeing the live visuals come through, we'll get back to that area for you and bring you live pictures as we just saw the officers moving with Cecilia Dapaah to her residence. But beyond that, there's a big picture about corruption and how this government is tackling issues regarding that. What recommendations do you have as CSOs working in the anti-corruption space?
So thank you. I think before I dropped, I was talking about the need to protect the girls who are in this, the house helps who have been named, and we need to protect them because even though they are accused, they are also a prime witness in this case. So that should be done urgently. In addition to that, we also need to be interested in the asset declaration of the minister, if she has even declared same, and what did she even declare if she happens to say that these monies are for her. And we expect that when did she amass this wealth? Was it before she came into office or after she came into office? So definitely this should reflect in her asset declaration. And if that is not also declared, then we should be interested to know the source of the money. And that source of the money, fortunately, the Office of the Special Prosecutor also has the mandate to also go after politically exposed persons. So persons who are connected to the minister, be it family, friends, and other close relationships, come under the PEPs. So they can also be investigated under the PEPs. And for this amount of money, whoever that owns or comes up to be the owner of the money, we should be interested to see some concrete documentation to prove that you own the money, because clearly, and our Anti-Money Laundering Act specifies where people can pick money and then bring it and launder it. We also are interested because of the issue of vote buying that we have always been talking about. So clearly, we see a lot of money during elections that comes into the system. Even the recent by-election that happened in Kumewu and Asinov, we saw how people were accused of vote buying and how much were distributed to, and you ask yourself, where are these monies coming from? So these are all questions that require answers, and we are hoping that the investigation by the special prosecutor will bring out this issue. But as I also said earlier, we have to take advantage of these happenings to sanitize the system by bringing a robust mechanism to prevent, because prevention is more important than just leaving things to occur, because this incident is one out of many. If we don't put in preventing system, what it means is that we are encouraging many more to go the same way, and we are not also helping in terms of putting deterrent in place. So preventive systems are very important. And one legal framework that we have called for passage, which I was talking about, is the robust asset declaration system. And I'm hoping that, as the president has always talked about being somebody who is confident in the fight against corruption, then we expect that the Conduct of Public Officers Bill should move from cabinet. It has been sitting there for over a year. It should move from cabinet to parliament so that we can indeed see that there is commitment to pass that important legislation. Beyond that, we also have the proof, where the burden of proof, as our law stands, the reverse burden of proof is we don't have, that's non-existent. So if an investigator wants to question illicit enrichment, it is also the investigator who has to establish that you acquired the money through corrupt means. And it's always difficult because corruption doesn't really, people don't leave traces around for you to document same. So it's important for us to pass this important legal instrument that now shifts the burden of proof to alleged corrupt persons to be able to show where they got their wealth from or where they got those monies from. And that makes it easier for fighting corruption. So we are hoping that the president will take you from this incident and commit to ensuring. In addition, I also want to reiterate that if we look at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, this is an office that has a lot of potential to fight corruption, but it needs resources. And we cannot continue to pay lip service to the office if we don't provide the necessary resources that they need to do their work and be effective.
Do you have confidence, first, and since you're bringing that up, do you have confidence that the special prosecutor will indeed see to the conclusion of this case? There are many who are, making inferences based on what it is that we're seeing coming through from the presidency. The fact that the president has made some comments, many say it may, of course, make other state institutions back off, quote unquote, this case, knowing that the president says it's already established that her credentials may come out clean.
As far as we are concerned, the special prosecutor has not given us any concern that he is not able to do the work and do it creditably. So we have the confidence. We have not had any major concern about that. So far as we are concerned, he's been able to put issues in the public domain as the Act clearly states. So we should give the special prosecutor the benefit of the doubt to do their work and do it professionally. I don't think that it's early days for people to start impugning all these allegations and counter allegations about the work of the special prosecutor. Let us support them. Let us allow them to do their work professionally. They owe the public a responsibility per their act to put their investigations in the public domain. And when they put it and we have issue or concern about the issues they put out, then we can also make our case about it. But for now, let us support the office. Let us give them the confidence that they need to fight this case. And if anybody has information that will help the office, we should be able to support them with the information, because information is key in this work. So let's see us supporting. We cannot be in questioning or having doubts about our anti-corruption institutions. Once we do that, it means that there is no hope anywhere. And I don't think that that is the way we should go. So I would encourage Ghanaians, let us give all our support to the Office of the Special Prosecutor and also have them update us about the investigation. And as far as we are concerned, if we see that they are not living up to expectation per the Act, we have every opportunity to put it out there. We can then criticize the office based on facts and not mere allegations.
Right. And we need to go. We can't go without having this final leg of the conversation. I mean, speculation is rife that Cecilia Dapaah may just be the tip of the iceberg. That there's a lot happening within the elite political class when it comes to incidents of this nature. What unconfirmed or otherwise confirmed reports do you have on this?
Well, we don't have any confirmation in terms of what is happening. But of course, this incident begs the question that there may be more that we need to pay attention to. And that is why we are looking at the preventive measures. That is why we are looking at what can we do to change so that things will not play out the way they do. For instance, we should be interested in lifestyle audits. We should be interested in how much people earn and how much they spend. We should be interested, and this is something that every Ghanaian should be concerned. We even know people in churches who are able to give so much money, and when you look at their lifestyle, it does not connect to it. And we know people in social cycles who may be giving so much, or they spend so much, but in terms of their earning are not linking up. And these are things that every Ghanaian should be concerned about and worried about, so that we start asking the questions, and if possible, we should put all this information and report same. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has provided links on their website where people can report. We have to also support the office by providing more information. As citizens, we are in the communities, we see these things happening, and we have more evidence than the law enforcement agencies. Let us all play our part, even as we call on the law enforcement agencies to do their work.
I see. Beauty Nate, thank you for spending some time with us this afternoon on the Joy News channel. She's the Executive Secretary for the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. Still with that special coverage that we're bringing to you here on the Joy News channel, a 360 view of what may be happening now regarding the resignation of the Water and Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapaah. Just moments ago, we brought you live pictures from the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The assigned officers to that case are on the way to the private residence of the former minister. We'll bring you updates shortly, plus tell you what's happening at the headquarters of the NPP. Officially, we know that Cecilia Dapaah may no longer serve on that election committee as announced after a NEC meeting a couple of days ago. We now know that she will not be officially featuring on that list. But what's next for her, especially as there's a new report coming up by the coalition of NGOs in water and sanitation. They are set to release a new report assessing her tenure in office. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Staying with us here on the Pulse, the former Minister for Gender Social Protection, Nana Dapaah, is calling on President Akufo-Addo to summon Cecilia Dapaah and question her on the source of the huge amount of money stolen from her room. There's more.
Come a mockery. We have gone to IMF to beg for money. We have gone to other institutions to beg for money, but yet we have a cabinet minister who can walk to the police station and report fearlessly that she has money in her bedroom, and out of that money, $1 million in cash has been stolen. Very sad day for Ghana. These are the questions. Beyond state institutions, it falls on President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, because this is one of his cabinet ministers. And we expect him to rise up to the responsibility as president of Ghana and take up this. Where did she get $1 million? This is what we're asking Nana Addo Dankwa. Nana Addo Dankwa, His Excellency, I'm asking you directly. Ask Cecilia Dapaah, summon her, and let Ghanaians know where she got $1 million in cash, amongst other monies. I'm asking you this direct question. Answer our question. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana. We Ghanaians are demanding, as citizens of Ghana, we are demanding an answer from you. We are not spectators. We are citizens of Ghana.
There's also more from Parliament. Edwin Neelan Van der Point, Member of Parliament for Dodo, is also requesting President Akufo-Addo to keep away from Cecilia Dapaah's case, to allow the anti-corruption organizations to conduct some sort of independent investigations to free government of the claim or tag of interference.
If you say the person brought integrity to her office and to your government, this is a government that has lost every integrity. This is a government that has lost every modicum of respect, honesty, and also the dignity of governance. And so, I'm not surprised this has happened. This is just the fact that what Martin Amidu said about His Excellency the President is really true. And we'll just wait to see what will come out of the SPO or other actions that will be taken to safeguard the interests of our democracy and also to at least restore some dignity to we political office holders. The best thing the president will do is to stay off and allow the Office of the Special Prosecutor and other anti-corruption agencies to work independently to be able to tell us what has happened. Because it's unheard of. This has never been, in fact, it has happened in one or two instances in this country, but the magnitude of this is just too unbelievable.
And don't forget that this afternoon, though, we're still live at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, where Cecilia Dapaah is being interrogated. Just moments ago, they moved to her private residence by some assigned, together with some assigned officers at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, just to search her residence. We'll be bringing you some updates, and also we're live in Parliament, where officials of the Sanitation Ministry earlier today appeared before the Public Accounts Committee. Also some MPs there making their claims and also pushing the President to make a comment on this, and also some calls going to the Office of the Special Prosecutor to act on this. Our team of reporters are out there to bring you the very latest. But despite her 5-year tenure, options are suggesting that her efforts fell short of ridding Accra of filth and achieving the President's vision of making it the cleanest city in Africa as promised. We're speaking to some ordinary Ghanaians on what they make of Cecilia Dapaah's situation and her achievements as Minister, then as the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation. Michael Niashale has the rest of the story.
We are currently in Abilinkpi, one of the many suburbs in the Greater Accra region. Specifically, we are on the Manhia Street. And the building behind me is believed to be that of the embattled former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Dapaah. It is also the same residence that is believed to be at the center of the controversy, where her house helps allegedly stole millions of cedis and other foreign currencies from her private stash. The residence of the embattled sanitation minister is a charming ground-level building adorned with cactus plants, golden trumpet flowers and other beautiful flower blooms of red and yellow. The plants looked well-nourished, with the petals looking so soft. The well-manicured green garden gives the house an inviting appearance. Since the news broke, there have been many reactions. For those who share the same neighborhood with the former minister, their immediate concern is how she acquired such an amount of money.
That minister, where you get that amount to 1 million, and I heard then $3,000 again. Charlie, big amount too. Where that minister get that amount? The first question.
In $1 million, I got to a dam.
In fact, she should be arrested. How did she get $1 million? That money can build several schools for school-going children.
Scan up to them. $1 million. Only a day. $1 million. I don't want to bank. I want to them.
For some of them, her decision to resign is not enough. They want her to be investigated.
I think they should investigate the issue properly, because as a minister, where will you get that money from? So they should properly investigate the issue and, get the truth out from it.
It is not enough she has resigned. She must be arrested and investigated. Not allow her to go scot-free. Show us where she got the money from. In fact, her properties should be frozen as well.
One of the biggest campaigns of the Akufo-Addo-led government was to wage war against filth and make the country in Accra one of the cleanest cities in Africa.
My pledge of improving sanitation in the country and making Accra the cleanest city in Africa by the end of my term.
In 2018, President Akufo-Addo appointed Cecilia Dapaah as Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. In 2020, she extended the president's plan from 4 years to 8 years, insisting the president meant 2 terms.
Inshallah, the president will go for 2 terms, and at the end, Accra would have been, and we are on course. God is in control.
In 2021, she said she was very close to realizing the president's dream.
I will give it 85%, because at the end of the day, you all saw the 100% we did during the lockdown. So who makes Accra dirty? Us. That's why we are every day sensitizing people to make sure. I'm telling you, I know you will quote it, and I insist it's 85.
A drive through Accra on a Sunday showed heaps of filth begging to be collected. While others believe the sanitation minister has done a good job but has not achieved the dream of making Accra the cleanest city in Africa, others insist she has not done well.
I see the environment. The environment is good, so our country is clean.
We are the cause of poor sanitation in this country. However, we are now enlightened, so sanitation has improved.
We are currently in Agbogbuloshe, and this is the state of one of the main drains here, filled to the brim with filth and certainly choked. Even though in the rainy season, you can see that no water is going anywhere. And the people here have to deal with the stench. Oh my God. Smells very bad. For almost 5 years she occupied the position, yet the people in and around Agbogbuloshe held a low opinion of her performance in stark contrast to her near-perfect self-appraisal.
Over 100%, I'll give her, that's 50 over 100.
Why do you say she didn't do well at all?
The reason is, you look at our environment, for instance, and when you even go, forward to especially what's the name of Seconds, there's another gutter there, very, very dirty. So it means she has not been doing anything at all.
If you go through Accra City, there are many things that is not good for the country, Ghana.
So over 100, how would you rate Cecilia's work?
I can't give him 35%. 35. 35. Wow. Yeah. The way he do in this particular Accra City is not good at all. He want to put the, what do you call it, ministerial duty down and take it to another person.
Like me, I don't travel around. But for this place particularly, I will rate her with 30 over 100.
Wow. Why 30 over 100?
Because almost all the places I go within this area, it's dirty. It looks very unkempt. They will eat and throw the rubbish around. Maybe at least they should keep dustbins around the places. If you eat, you can throw it there. If it's food, they'll go and dispose it. But it's nothing like that. So they eat, they throw banana peels, pure water rubbish everywhere. So this place, the place is not very good.
We are currently in the ministry's enclave that houses most of the ministry's part of government. Specifically, we are right in front of that of the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, the office where the former embattled Minister Cecilia Dapaah worked from. It's expected that from Monday, July 24th, another individual will take over from the office. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
Well, pretty judicial and unfortunate. That's the reaction of some legal practitioners and governance experts on President Akufo-Addo's comments espousing the integrity of the embattled former Water and Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapaah. She was investigated and is still being investigated over the stolen millions of dollars from her private residence. Madam Cecilia Dapaah announced her resignation Sunday, July 22, 2023. The resignation, as we know, follows the revelations that her households had allegedly stolen substantial amounts of both foreign and local currencies from her residence in Accra. The incident sent shocks through the nation, leaving citizens astounded by the audacious thefts that took place in her residence. Now, she became actually the third appointee of the president having to leave office amid allegations of corruption, and there are calls right now for a probe, which the Office of the Special Prosecutor is taking up seriously. We have more in this report by our legal affairs correspondent, Joseph Akable.
I've said it and I'll repeat it again. Those who are coming to this administration thinking that it's an avenue for making a lot of money are going to be disappointed. They better go to the private sector. That is where people make money, not in government.
President Akufo-Addo won his first presidential election in 2016 with a pledge to protect the public purse. The government has been confronted with various allegations of corruption. In April 2019, the presidency accepted the resignation of Minister of State Roxanne Bukari. This came in the wake of the then minister being heard in a leaked tape allegedly trying to suppress the publication of a story through an offer of a bribe to a journalist. In November 2022, President Akufo-Addo terminated the appointment of Charles Edubuahi as Minister of State at the Finance Ministry. This was after he was captured on tape allegedly soliciting bribes for top government officials. The latest incident to engage the attention of anti-graft campaigners is the theft of $1 million on the residence of Cecilia Dapaah, sparking spirited discussion on how she could have so much cash at home. She has since resigned. The Ghana Integrity Initiative's Maria Ada believes the president must show commitment and redeem his acquired image as one who clears appointees of wrongdoing.
It is not enough for the president to continue to tell us that state institutions are acting, while behind the scene, strings are being pulled to frustrate processes from occurring. We believe that for the president to redeem his image and then also take off that mantra that has been applied to him for some time now, that he is a clearing agent, we believe this is a time for him to act and act swiftly.
The president has, however, in a letter to the former minister, expressed optimism that her integrity while in office will be established.
Well, there's a lot more we're learning from the Water and Sanitation Resources Ministry itself, which used to house the embattled politician Cecilia Dapaah, who was just a couple of hours ago, Minister in charge of that sector. Let's cross you over now as we have some live images coming through, 4:24, which means that officially as we speak, workers there at the ministry should be packing out by now after the close of today's hard work, I must say. But Carlos Caloni is still there with us. Carlos, what more can you tell us?
All right, so Blessed, I can tell you for a fact that with the news breaking that the minister has been arrested, many of the staff here have actually intensified their discussions in groups. In fact, when they heard that the OSP is likely to go to the homes of the minister, some have been saying that probably the those in charge of the security or the investigation are likely to come over to the ministry here, and so they are standing by to see if the OSP will equally come to the minister's office to more or less conduct some sort of investigation. So they have been standing around just waiting to see if that would happen. But I've also been speaking with some Ghanaians who actually decided to speak to me on condition of anonymity, and they have been expressing their utter disgust at the whole event, and they've been saying that this is actually going to affect the trust that they have in the Ghanaian politicians. So we can take a listen to what they have been telling me.
It's serious, because if she really had this amount of money in her house, then it's crazy. Because there are lots of us out there looking for jobs. We want just a means to survive, and then just one person has this lots of money in her house. I think it's not fair. We are all Ghanaians. Yes, the money is questionable. She needs to come out to talk more about it. I mean, she needs to justify why she has such an amount of money in the house. And then I keep asking myself, so if this is in the house, then how much is in the bank? And then we are here each and every year, 4 years, we go voting for same people to come. I don't think the politicians, they are different. Same people come, same people go. It's questionable. Over the weekend, I've been thinking about it, and it's crazy. Oh yes, it's going to affect. It is really going to affect, because over the weekend, I've had discussion with few colleagues and friends of mine, and it seems because of this, even not because of this, even before this issue, they've decided not to vote. They've decided not to even enter into politics or talk about it. But then this one too came, and then it's affirming their decision. Yeah, so I think it's really going to affect. How to cure, how to curb it, I don't know, because Ghanaians are fed up. Let me say, majority of us are fed up. Today, this, tomorrow, that, and we are not seeing any improvement. I was talking to someone over the weekend, and the person mentioned, since we heard that the IMF funds have been released, we've not heard any development, we've not heard of anything going on, and then this scandal just comes up. It's crazy, so I don't think it's going to be kept.
Such a chilling account there. What touches me most is the issue that she's talking about jobs. Carlos, how about the workers themselves?
So, Blessed, the workers themselves have remained tight-lipped. I have been to the offices, and they really don't want to share anything, especially those who even open up said to me that they are civil servants and all that. So, per their ethics, they are not supposed to comment on the matter publicly. But on condition of anonymity, they've been expressing some concerns, mixed reactions. Some believe that the minister is being pushed too much. Others believe that, well, this is the right way to go. This will actually help bring about some sort of trust in the public space, and so they want it carried out. Some even told me that they believe the minister's attitude and all that, she deserves what is actually happening now. As to what exactly they meant by that, they really did not explain. So it's a mixed bag here at the ministry. Some believe this is the right way, others do not think it is the right way. So as we speak, many of them are leaving their offices now, but some are also still around saying that they want to wait and see if the OSP is actually going to come over to the office to conduct any further investigations in the office of the minister. So, Blessed, that is the situation from the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources here in Accra.
And obviously, we're waiting that convoy of vehicles moving to her residence. Probably they may be making their way to the ministry just to find out if they could pick up a document or two as part of the investigation processes. But we'll get to that. You were talking about how some of the workers complain about the posture or perhaps the character of the minister. Why is that coming up now?
So exactly. So when I spoke with one of them, she actually mentioned that she is a bit harsh as to why she believes the minister is a bit harsh and her leadership style and all that wasn't the best for her. So for which reason she believes what she's going through now is well deserved. I don't know if that is at a personal level, but some other drivers here also have been expressing similar concerns about her the kind of leadership. But others also in the same building have been telling us that she's performed very well, especially during her time in office. I cited some books at the office with her photos on, and so I tried to find out if these books are actually going to be distributed with a photo. And then one of them actually said to me that yes, because she's really performed within the last few years that she's been in the office. And so, but for this particular incident, all official documents have her names and all those things there. So there's no way they're going to discard that. So her leadership qualities have been questioned here, but she also has some support within the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources.
We know that it's still official working hours. Any signs of the deputy ministers? Because at least there's no talk about them as of now, is there?
That I really didn't get about. I think you're asking if the minister actually has actually showed up here. But the issue is that we've not seen the minister's vehicle, nor have we seen her age here. So yes, she has not arrived here at the ministry. So we understand what the OSP is doing now. So we presume that probably she is with the OSP and probably going to official residence for further investigation.
Carlos, maybe now you'll get me a bit more clearly. I was asking about the deputy ministers because just watching the car park, it appears that there are some vehicles there parked at their reserved parking lots. That's why I'm asking if there's any signs of any of the deputy ministers working at the ministry.
So earlier on, when we came in the morning, we realized that the car park of the minister and her deputy actually were left vacant. So we tried to find out, but we were told that the deputy minister, together with the chief director, actually had gone to the Public Accounts Committee for some engagement, and for which reason all those officials at the ministry actually not at post as we speak. So that explains why the deputy minister's vehicle is not here, and that of the substantive minister herself too. So we've not seen them, so we are still here to see if they will arrive here before closing for the day.
So explain this to us, because you've been interacting with some of the workers there at the ministry. On a typical day like this is a Monday, what would ordinarily have been the itinerary of many who are working within this building? And has there been some sort of a change at least, or a halt to the major events or routines that they have there at the ministry?
All right, so interaction that I've had with some of the workers here show that usually on Mondays you'll find many people trooping to the ministry for one thing or the other, some coming all the way from the northern part of the country. So like I said earlier, when we arrived here in the morning, we saw some people who came all the way, but they did not know that the minister had actually resigned. And so they came in just to do normal business, but they were told that the minister had resigned. So, and then my interaction with them showed that they've not been following the news or the story regarding the former Minister of Sanitation. So per what the staff have been telling us, it showed clearly that Mondays usually are busy days here. But that is not the situation we see today. You see just a handful of people come in and go, and the staff themselves, the few offices I have been to, I've seen them just discussing this matter, not much work being carried out per what I saw. So that is the mood in the offices here at the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. And beyond even the offices itself, you'll find the drivers who actually drive at the Sanitation Ministry. Most of them actually just sitting under the shed here discussing this matter. So you can say that the news in one way or the other has actually affected productivity at the ministry. So that is the situation here, Blessed.
And just as we wrap up, we know that this ministry is located in an area where you have other adjoining ministries or sister ministries, if I should term it as such. Some of them looking over the building, others right next to it. But what's been the discussion on these corridors as well?
Oh, Blessed, you're right. We have the Railways Ministry as well as Trade Ministry all around the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. Earlier on when we arrived here, immediately they saw our cameras. I tried to speak to one person, and he was like, no, I am not from the Sanitation Ministry. I'm from the Railways Ministry. So most of them are trying to shy away from the situation. They are not trying to get close. They are trying to disassociate themselves from the Sanitation Ministry situation. So, but of course, they are concerned because if you look at their car parks, you still find their drivers and other officials also in groups. When you go around them, you hear them discussing the same Cecilia Dapaah scandal. So it's a big matter here at the ministries. Blessed.
Carlos Caloni, my colleague joining us from the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, and that would have to wrap up the coverage for now here on The Pulse. There's more coming your way in our subsequent bulletins. Until then, log on to myjoyonline.com and we have all of the updates coming through to you, plus the latest that we have on this, capturing it first for you here on the Joy News channel. Just hours ago, officers assigned to the Cecilia Dapaah case taking the embattled politician to her private residence. We understand that she's in the company of the husband. We'll bring you some updates as and when we have it, but it is confirmed that she's under arrest officially. As to whether or not she'll be granted bail at the end of the day, we'll bring you that update in subsequent bulletins. But that's all we have for you here on The Pulse. I am Blessed. So don't forget to log on to myjoyonline.com. Lots of stories there for you. Until then, we take a breather. Next is Let's Talk Showbiz.